In a forgotten tailor's workshop at the edge of a quiet village sat a wooden mannequin named Thimble. For decades, he'd watched the seasons change outside his window, his only company the ghosts of extravagant coats and gowns he'd once proudly displayed. Time had not been kind to Thimble. He was cracked, his paint was peeling, and worst of all, he was utterly alone. This was the same warm, fuzzy feeling he used to get when the tailor, Mr. Buttons, would bring out a fresh spool of thread. The anticipation of creating something beautiful, always buzzing in the air. He remembered those days fondly, the days when the shop bustled with activity, when he wasn't just a dusty old mannequin, but the centerpiece of a thriving business. He was more than just wood and paint. He was a collaborator, an easel for the tailor's art, but as the initial euphoria wore off, a deep sadness settled over him. The button was beautiful, yes, but he knew it wasn't meant for him. He strained to see through the darkness, and that's when he saw it, a faint glimmer of light in the distance. Hope surged through him, chasing away the shadows of doubt. With newfound strength in his limbs, Thimble rose from his base, his joints creaking in protest. He took a step forward, then another, and soon he was standing tall, his gaze fixed on the distant light. It was just a faded remnant of a bygone era, a time when magic was as common as thread and buttons. A time before the tailor vanished, leaving Thimble and his sewing kit behind. In fact, he had unmoved a muscle in so long that he'd almost forgotten he was supposed to be able to move. The motes of sunlight dancing in the air, the cobwebs strung like delicate lace between the windows, and the faint whisper of the wind through the cracks in the walls. Each detail was a reminder of a life lived of moments both joyous and sorrowful. He had to find out what had become of the tailor, of his magic, and perhaps, just perhaps, of himself. With the last button clutched tightly in his hand, Thimble walked out of the tailor's workshop and into the golden light of sunset, leaving behind the dust and solitude of his former life and stepping into the unknown with a heart full of hope and a single enchanted button to guide his way. Startled, he pulled back, sending a cloud of dust raining down on the floor. Was it the sewing kit? Was he imagining things? Nestled amidst the faded tools was a single button, no bigger than his fingernail, yet radiating an otherworldly glow. As Thimble watched, mesmerized, the button seemed to pulse with a soft, inviting warmth. Curiosity overcame him. He carefully picked up the button and tucked it into the hole at his chest, where a coat would rest. And just like that, a wave of energy surged through him, bringing with it a rush of memories, the scent of fresh fabric, the feel of fine threads, and the sound of Mr. Buttons humming as he worked. Was it possible for a mannequin to feel anything again after all this time? One day, as a strong wind rattled his bones and sent shivers down his wooden spine, Thimble felt something fall from the dusty shelf above him.
Oh, nice.
He turned his head, or at least he tried to, and saw a small, ornately carved wooden box fall to the floor with a dull thud. It landed right in front of him, and as the wind died down and the room fell silent, Thimble heard the faintest of clicks. The box had unlatched, opening to reveal a tarnished silver sewing kit. Thimble had no recollection of the sewing kit. There was something about its worn velvet interior that stirred a deep longing within him, a feeling he knew all too well. As Thimble reached out with a chipped finger to touch the velvet, he felt a jolt of energy course through his wooden limbs. Suddenly, a glint of light from the corner caught his eye. With the button in place, Thimble felt whole again. He flexed his newly animated fingers, wiggled his toes, and even managed a small smile. He looked around the dusty workshop, now realizing just how much he'd missed. But one detail caught his eye, a small hole in the wall above the workbench. He didn't know where it would lead, but he had to try.